Bulletproof your mind. Oh, that's an interesting phrase that I have heard from someone known as Justin Groth. This is Now Tell Us. I'm your host, Anthony Murore. At Now Tell Us, we have guests come and tell us stories. They come and inspire us. They come and educate us on a subject. And always we are having a great time. Today, we are going to bring Justin here to tell us what is this about bulletproofing your mind. And I want you to join me as we go and meet Justin. But before that, please remember to share this episode with all your friends. And it would be good if you tell us from where you're watching us from or listening to us. Even if you get to listen to this as the recorded version, we appreciate to know that we are being listened and watched. And so now I won't take one more minute because I know Justin has a lot to tell us. And why don't you join me to go and meet him? Here we go. Hi, Justin.
Hey Anthony, how are you, bud?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Good, real good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, welcome to Now Tell Us. We are happy to have you here today.
Nice.
Yes. Where in the world are you connecting?
I'm in California, place called Central Coast of California. So about 3 hours away from Los Angeles, about 5 hours away from San Francisco, right in the center of those two places called the Central Coast.
Oh, okay, that's good. We have at least an idea of where it is. Although I haven't stepped in the United States, but I've interacted with quite a number of people, and you're good people.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that very much.
Yeah.
Where are you
So
out? Where are you from, Anthony?
I'm from Kenya, although currently I am in Athens, Greece.
Oh, nice. Very
Yeah,
nice. Beautiful
yeah,
there. I only
yeah.
heard good about that place.
It's beautiful, and if you see the images that they share on the internet, yeah, we there are places like that. I've been to some of the islands, and you're like, wow, why is
Oh,
this?
I haven't really stepped outside of California too much. I've been to Mexico once, and I think that's about the extent of my travels. Uh, I
Okay.
don't I don't really get out, man. I got a lot going on here where I live, so I don't have much time to travel.
Now, if things are happening around where you live and good things, then you can always commit to stay there and enjoy the things that are happening. So,
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
guess it's been good there all through.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's wonderful. So we are happy to connect with you today, and we are going to hear a lot from you because this is Now Tell Us. But first, we can start by knowing you were born there. You haven't moved a lot. What have you been doing up to this point that we get to speak to you?
Yeah, well, a lot. I'm 39 years old, and suffice to say, I've done quite a few things in my life, but um, many of which are oriented around business, building businesses, and really building others through the means of fitness and mindset. And that's predominantly why I think you have me on the podcast right now, is to talk about mindset and how to be more callous in your mind and your thoughts, etc. And these things are kind of what I've cemented myself in for at least for the last better part of a decade. I've been a personal trainer for the last 2 decades, and doing my own fitness for that time as well. Natural bodybuilding competitor. Um, Again, a life coach, mindset coach, and obviously a podcast host as well.
Hmm. Now, before we even come to that, you coaching in fitness, and you talked about businesses. So I guess this was not your very first business. What was your first?
Well, when I was in high school, I first of all, I come from an entrepreneur family, and
Mm-hmm.
when well, I actually had a really big affinity for. Are you familiar with like lifting trucks, putting lift kits on trucks, and lowering kits on trucks, and wheels and tires, and making the trucks or cars look aesthetically better? And like big wheels, big raising the trucks high in the air, or lowering the trucks, with with lowering kits or lift kits. So basically I got into doing that, and there's a mechanical side to that. So obviously there was a lot of mechanics involved in that, with the suspension and everything, and that's what I got really into in high school. And I started to start a business for that, for selling lift kits, wheels and tires, and then installing the lift kits, wheels and tires on trucks. And so that kind of jump started me in the whole entrepreneurial avenue. And I quickly realized that that's what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't want to do that necessarily, but I wanted to have my own business.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started that in high school. I then ended up doing a couple of t-shirt clothing lines, I'm sorry, t-shirt lines. And then I ended up going into personal training, started a fitness business, and then now I'm branching out into doing also consulting for personal trainers and mentorship for personal trainers as well, on top of the mindset and fitness coaching. I do that. I do that personally, or I do that online as well.
Yeah, that's good. What triggered that desire? What drove you into fitness in the first place?
Uh, ego, ego and vanity. I
Uh-huh.
want better body. I think like most people. I mean, and I had body image issues when I was young. I didn't like the way I looked, and I had a pretty big insecurity around my body. Even though I wasn't fat, I wasn't skinny, I was just kind of average. But for some reason, I started to gain identity issues when I was about 19, and um, I just I started to lose weight at a rapid pace because I didn't know how to lose weight. But I knew I wanted to lose weight, even though I was a regular body weight for my height and everything. But
Mhm.
here's the thing that I don't tell many people, and this is the thing that triggered the whole response to me losing weight. And it's so stupid, but to me it was like, how do I get rid of this? And it was the body, it was the cheeks. I've always been born with chubby cheeks, or like chipmunky type cheeks, and I didn't like that. So what I did was, I was like, I got to lose weight. So how do I lose weight? And I just stopped eating. I stopped eating a lot of the different foods that I was eating, and I started running a lot. And I didn't know how else to lose the weight other than do those things. And it was all in an attempt to lose weight in my face. That's really what I was after. And so I lost weight in my face, but I lost weight everywhere else, and I started to look unhealthy. And then I quickly told my family, I said, "Look, I need to get help because my mindset is of one of addiction." So I started to delve down these avenues of addiction where I couldn't eat anything because I was addicted to eating this one type of style of eating that got me that was getting leaner, losing body fat, and
Mhm.
it was just gonna. I was slowly deteriorating, to be honest with you. I mean, I got to like 136 pounds at my lowest, and to give you reference, to give your audience reference, I'm a 5'10" and a half, 5'11", and that, so 135 on me looks like I'm just unhealthy, sick. And
Mhm.
so that's when I told my family, look, I need help because I'm not going to change. Like, I'm going to keep doing this. And they knew me well enough to know that that was a true statement. So they got me, we got a dietitian, got a personal trainer. And then it was just kind of, it went the other direction. I started to have an affinity for lifting weights and taking lots of protein and, just working my ass off. And then I started to get more muscular. I started to build my own identity, which was this. When I say identity, I mean, I started to come into something that I knew that I loved to do, and that filled me up. And it was also giving me a different look than most of the people that I had around me. And I like that. It was unique to me, and I like that. Even though it's not unique to have a body, a nice physique or an in shape body, it was for the where I was living and who was around me. And so I just kept going from there. That turned into competitive bodybuilding. That turned into being a personal trainer, because I noticed that I had a really also a big affinity for helping people when they would come up to me and ask me, what am I doing? And like, what exercise is that for, Justin? Or why do you do that exercise? Or can you watch my form doing this, Justin? And the only reason why they asked me is because I looked like I knew what I was doing, right? Because I had a physique. And so I noticed that I quickly noticed that I really love to teach people that. And I really love to explain certain things. And for some reason, even if I was having the worst day, if somebody interrupted my workout, I was actually humbled by it. I actually was humbled by the fact that they would approach me and they would ask me a real genuine question, and they would because it was showing me that they trusted me. They trust me by the way that I look. They trusted me in the way that I presented myself, and they wanted to know what I knew, what I possibly knew. And that was just really humbling for me, and it would turn my day around even if I had a bad day and I was training. So I'm indebted to people for that. And I think that it's my duty or my obligation to use the talents that I have within the discipline areas of bodybuilding and training and mindset, etc., and distribute them to other people so they can be better. Because this kind of stuff is like 101 to me. You know, when you do something when you do something so effortlessly, but you have a very good time doing it, and you get automatic automatic feedback, positive feedback from doing it, you should listen to that. That might be your calling in life. And that sort of is inseparable from what your purpose is. So you need to follow those, I don't know what other word to say, but feelings. You need to follow that intuition, that feeling, that conscience, that conscious voice is telling you, you need to do more of this. Because for some reason, and I can't explain it, my cells in my body are lighting up whenever I was to teach, whenever I was to explain. I mean, I'm getting goosebumps now. Whenever I'm able to impart my person or my talent on that person, it does something to me viscerally, internally,
Mm-hmm.
psychologically, that is, every light is going off in my head telling me, do this, do this. This is what you're supposed to do. And that's what I tell people in my podcast. That's what I tell people in real life. When they don't understand where to go in life, I sit them and I sit next to them, or I sit right in front of them and I stare at them in the eye and I say, but you do though. You do know what to do with your life. You're just scared to do it because maybe it's not popular. Maybe it's controversial, or whatever the case, or maybe it's not financially profound yet. You know what? Maybe it doesn't have a lot of finances attached to it yet. That's the reason why you're apprehensive or scared to do it. It's not because it's not inside of you. It's absolutely and unequivocally inside of you to do this, but because it may not be what your parents did, or what your friend that you look up to is doing, or the inner circle that you're surrounded with is partaking in. And maybe it's unpopular. Maybe it's not. It doesn't have a lot of financial accrual attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
You fall back from it. But it's not because it's not inside you to do it. It is, but you must answer that calling. And that's a very under exemplified idea for most people. It's like, well, they want to do what the masses are doing. And I understand that, because you see that as a safeguard, meaning what they're doing and what you can see based off what they've accrued based on what they're doing, you can kind of replicate that. But maybe you can't, because maybe you're not good at that. And maybe you should do not maybe, you should do what you're good at. Even if it's something that's not popular, you should still do it, because you can make it popular. You have the ability to make it popular, or make it something that is trending, or make it something that is exemplified because of what God put in you and what God innately placed inside of you, that is your gift to distribute to the world. And I think it's your obligation to do that. In fact, I know it's your obligation to do that. That's the only way that you're going to be your best. So when we talk about people being their best, they must tap into that talent that they have to distribute to others, because it's not about them. It's going to be what they impart to others that make them who they are.
Mm-hmm.
But people don't understand it that way because we're too self-centered at the end of the day.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. That's quite something. Now, you talked about at some point when you went into competitive bodybuilding. Uh, any trophies?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Any awards? How many? I mean, in what is there something, some popular line that maybe people would identify with? Oh yeah, he won in that one.
So I competed years ago. My last show was in 2011,
Mm-hmm.
and I've done all of my shows have been done through the NPC, which is a National Physique a committee,
Mm-hmm.
and that was and I chose to do those shows. By the way, I should give your listeners some context. I'm a natural bodybuilder, which means no steroids, drug free, no steroids, and I mean I would take creatine, pre workout, protein, but all over the counter stuff. It was never anything that was uh, under the or behind the curtain. It was nothing. I never took any drugs. I'm just a drug free natural bodybuilder. So
Mm.
I competed against guys that were likely not natural, that were likely enhanced, because the NPC is an untested organization. Now, I chose to compete in the NPC because at the time, those were the closest shows around me. They were in Los Angeles, they were in San Francisco, and those were the cities that had the states that had the shows that were tested, that were like the real natural federations like the OCB or federations like that. They
Mm-hmm.
were like the Midwest. And I don't know about you, but I'm not going to travel Midwest all the way to the Midwest to do a bodybuilding show. And
Mm-hmm.
so suffice it to say, I took my chances competing against guys that were likely enhanced at the level of I'm sorry, at the enhanced level in LA or San Francisco, because they were closer in proximity to me, and
Okay.
I was blessed to do very well against them, even with them being enhanced. So I'm very fortunate for that. But
Okay.
yeah, I have a handful of trophies, to say the
Wow.
least.
That's good, and congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Now, we talk here about bulletproofing your mind. What's that all about? Tell us.
You have to do hard stuff though in order
Yeah.
to your mind, because if you don't do anything hard in life, or you don't test yourself, if you don't put yourself through any sufficient resistance, you're not going to really see what you're made of. And so in order to bulletproof, and I just use that word, like coin that word bulletproof, in order to bulletproof your mind, callous your mind, you have to do hard things. You have to do things that test your perseverance, that test your tenacity. And so for a lot of people, the hardest thing they've ever done is the hardest thing they've ever done. And that may look like something like, I left my girlfriend, or I left my boyfriend, or my dog died, and they had to get through that. Other people may have gone through Hell Week and become a Navy SEAL. Other people have been in war, been through war. I mean, there's layers to bulletproofing your mind. There's layers to the hard shit that you put yourself through, and if it is imposed or if it's not imposed. I tell people that the fastest, quickest way you can right now to gain more of a hardened mental shell is for you to incorporate resistance training into your day. So do something hard in the form of lifting weights, resistance, self-imposed resistance, doing workouts that you don't really want to do, lifting weights that test your mental and physical fortitude. When you do those things and you accomplish them, you become more competent in that specific exercise, right? You become more confident with the day because of what you've done. But this inadvertently is working to callous your mind, make your mind more hardened to being comfortable. Because that's the alternative, right? If you're not hard, you're soft. So
Mm.
if you're soft, you're not actively working on to harden your mind. And let's be honest, in life, we get a lot of left curveballs thrown at us.
Mm-hmm.
The only way to counter those curved balls or to catch those curved balls is to do things that you don't want to do to make yourself be able to absorb, or I'm sorry, receive those curved balls when they come, or absorb them at the very least. But
Mm.
you working onto that, and it only starts when you do things that you don't want to do in life. And for a lot of people, that's eating healthier, that's working out, that's taking a walk when they don't want to take a walk. I mean, that's running when they don't want to run. But forcing yourself to do these things when you don't want to do them is how you become stronger mentally and physically.
Yeah, but how exactly do I go into something that I don't want to do? What gets me started? Was that motivation, that inspiration? What pushes me beyond
Yeah,
the
yeah, that's a good question. So you have to be fed up with your current situation. Like, meaning, if it's, so for example, if you wake up every day feeling like crap because of your style of eating or because you're not exercising, we already know that you're becoming sicker and sicker every day. If you're not exercising, you're not eating healthy.
Mm,
Okay, we know this from a physiological standpoint. We know that if you're not exercising and you're not treating your body correctly with foods that are good and nutritious for you, you are decaying at a more rapid rate than you would otherwise if you were doing those things correctly, right?
mm-hmm,
So if you wake up every day and you're not fed up with the way you're feeling, if you're not fed up with your current position in life, then you're not going to change. You have to get to the point where you're so fed up with yourself that you're disgusted with yourself in the mirror, and not from a sense of like shaming yourself, but because you know that there's more inside of you. You know that you're better than this. You have to get to that point, and no one can bring you to that point. You have to be willing to be self deprecating to some degree and see yourself as more than who you are currently. And that's when you make a shift and you start small with those hardships in your life, those self-imposed hardships in your life. You start small. So it could be, first, I'm going to clean up one meal in my diet. So one bad meal that I would have, like if I was to have fast food, instead I'm going to eat a salad with chicken on it. Or instead of not walking for the day, I'm going to take that 20-minute walk, getting you out of being so comfortable and so soft. And then that 20-minute walk is going to likely lead to a few 20-minute walks a week. And those few 20-minute walks are going to lead to you getting in the gym and maybe starting out on doing the machines. And then before you know it, you automatically are going to shift. It's going to cellularly, it's going to shift you into becoming more of a confident being. And now you're going to have the incentive to do more and do more and do more. And now you're, before you know it, you're eating correctly, like eating more nutritiously throughout the week. You're exercising more avidly, and now you're a better person because of it. Not only you yourself, you look at yourself in more of a, you look at yourself as more of a confident person, but now your relationships with people, your familiar structure, your relationally who you are, conversationally who you are, mentally who you are, it all shifts for the greater good. You're not just a good person for yourself, but you're a good person for others to be around too. Then before you know it, other doors of opportunity might open. Now you're on this mental positive trajectory shift that you wouldn't have otherwise been in if you kept eating like an asshole and kept not exercising. Because
mm.
we know this is not something to be debated. We know that from a physiological standpoint, if you don't do anything about your health, then Mother Nature is going to come knocking on your door early on in life.
Oh yeah, I've heard this analogy where we talk about the garden that if you want to grow something good in, you've got to put in some seed and cultivate and watch over the crops there. But if you don't do nothing, then weeds are going to grow out of it. So we better be proactive other than reactive to things that happen in our life that we may not want. So we've got to commit to eating well, exercising, otherwise it's going to be bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, you're a personal trainer. What does that entail? How do you work with someone? And especially now, because you talked of training not only on your locality, but far and wide. How does that work out?
So I'm a I would be considered a master trainer, which means that I can train pretty much anybody at any level. So I
Mm-hmm.
can youth, I can train all the way up until, the older populace, 70, 80, 90 year olds, and work around the parameters that they have. And so I'm well versed in multiple areas to train multiple people. It all you asked me what it looks like. A person comes into me and they want physical fitness, right? So I take them through a screening. I see their body mechanics or their movement mechanics. I identify discrepancies in their kinetic chain. I make external cues and or adjustments to them, and then we get on a program. Whether it be depending on their budget, they might be able to afford 1 day a week. They might be able to afford 2 or 3 or 4. And typically, the going time spent with the trainer is going to be about 3 hours a week. Like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. For most of my clients are on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and that's because I have an abbreviated schedule, so I only actually train Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays for my clientele. My time is allocated to other things on the outsides of Tuesdays and Thursdays and the weekends. So but they come into me, then we get a program styled in based on their screening, their first initial screening and consultation with me, and then we just go from there. And it looks different for everybody because the subject is most important to me. I'm not going to give one person the same program that I give somebody else because everybody maybe moves a little, not maybe, most people will move a little bit differently. And that means that different cues and different adjustments need to be made to people's programs. There are mobility restrictions that some people have. So I have to work around those things, right? The most important thing to me in training somebody is developing a relationship and rapport with that person, because that person's spending time with me and I'm spending time with that person. And most people that come to train with people, they don't just come to train because they need physical fitness. That's the first thing that gets them in the door. But the
Mm-hmm.
thing that helps them to stay and retain them is your communication skills and your likability traits. And if you can relate to them, and if you can listen to them, and if you can conduct the workout in a way that keeps them progressing, but that they don't even know they're doing because they just love spending time with you. And that's how you get results from people. And that's how you develop bonds and connections with people. And that's what it's about to be that's how you become a great personal trainer. It's not just about tracking people's movements, although you need to have education for that. You need to have an understanding of the body and anthropometrics, and you need to have an understanding of overall kinetics. But you can't just rely on that or your good looks or your body to get you to retain people. You must be a person that they like to spend your time with.
Wow, that's an interesting perspective.
It's the truth, though. And out of
Yeah.
that, and the fact of the matter is, nobody can refute. No trainer that's vetted and experienced can refute that. They might not want to agree with it because it's not something that they have a vested interest in. But it is, when in practical terms laid out, it's the only thing that will retain people for the long haul. It's the only thing, and I'm talking about training the sedentary, the people that are 30 to 60 years old, not the young girls or the bodybuilder guys or the athletes. You
Mm-hmm.
know, most of the people that are going to pay for my services are going to be in the realm of 30 to 50, 55 years old that have the disposable income to pay for a trainer because I'm not cheap. So the people on the outskirts of those people, like the bodybuilders, the athletes, etc., it's one thing. Those people just need education and cueing, and they need to be they need a more predicate around performance because that's what they're coming to you for.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone else, they just need you because they need accountability and they need to move. And if they don't have you, they're not going to do any movement at all. So in order to retain that person, you have to build a relationship with them because people are just human beings at the end of the day, and they need interconnection.
Mm.
No, that's not why they come to you. That's why they stay with you.
That's not why they come to you, but that's why they stay with you. That's a good one. So, if we have someone who's listening and would want to train with you, how do they get started? How do they connect with you?
So the best way, the quickest way is going to be through my Instagram handle, which is, I think you have in the show notes. You're going to listen to the show notes, but
Yeah.
it's going to, for those that are listening, it's going to be Justin Craig Groth. There's no underscore or space between those words. It's just going to be straight Justin Craig Groth, Groth, and you can hit my DMs and we can do a FaceTime. We can just chat in the message column if you like. But I can help people. I have an online program that I can help people with. We have a monthly program, a 3 month program, a year program. I obviously give discounts if they sign up for the 3 months or the year. But yeah, we can start from there based on what they need from me and based on how I can help them. And that can be done through via text message or through a FaceTime chat. And we can get connected that way and get started that way. Of
Wow. Thank you for sharing that.
course.
Because at this point, we are just about to come to the end of this episode. And we thank you for everything that you've shared with us, the inspiration and the good quotes that you've shared with us.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes, we appreciate your presence here. But before you go, can you leave us with a few words, which are words that we should never forget on anything that you like? I mean, your maybe some your favorite quote or something that we should always remember.
I don't have any favorite quotes, but I will tell you this.
Mm,
If listening, they may be in a state where they don't think that they could be better, but they could be. And it's only because of their disbelief that handicaps them from being who they could be. And that's something that they need to work out within their own mind. And they need to actually, I will tell you this, people don't put this obligation on themselves as much as they should, but they have talents that they possess that it is in fact their duty to extract. And it's not because they need them, it's because people around them need them. And so if people shifted the focus away from them and put it on others, as to say, I need to develop this gift in me. I need to bring out this gift that I have that God's laced me with because I know other people are going to benefit from it. And other people are actually waiting on me to bring this talent to fruition because they're going to benefit exponentially from it. If they shifted the focus on other people instead of them, that would be the motivation for them to keep going and actually bring it to fruition. You
mm,
never do things when it's just about you. You do things when other people are counting on you.
mm. I agree to that. It's a reminder that we are all here for the service of others. Whatever it is that we are doing it should be serving one person or the other, your family, I mean, you look around and you see that whatever it is that you do is giving a benefit, a value to someone else who is around you.
Yes, absolutely, man.
So it's a good reminder to keep on doing our level best for the sake of all those who are around us.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yes. Once again, we thank you very much for coming on to our show. And yeah, thank you. And
Thank
reminding us to have a bulletproof our mind.
Absolutely, bud.
Yeah. So that's about it for now. And I want to appreciate each and every person who's been watching us or listening to us. Even if you get to listen to this after we are through, we appreciate your presence. If you can comment, thank you. And please remember to share this episode with all your friends. And remember to bulletproof your mind, coming from Justin. That's about it for now. I've been your host, Anthony Morore, and together with our guest today, Justin Groth, we're saying bye for now. Until next time.
Thanks, Anthony.
Yeah, thank you.